Well, first I got to start off with, I should have had this in my PowerPoint slide. That's a great way to start. That's my 8-week-old grandson, first one. That's his, so it's always a good way to start, and it makes me smile. Really happy to be a grandparent. Well, thank you very much for inviting me. Again, my name is Ira Kalbrosky, and my company is Kalbrosky Associates. I wonder where I got that name from. And what we do is we actually find money, your money, in your business. So the question is, I'm a corporate person to start out with, by the way. I live in Ocean View, Delaware. I've been here 9 years, have had a house in Trap Dunes for 15 years. And I'm very active in the community. I'm on the board of directors of The Way Home. I'm giving them a plug. Give me an extra minute for that. They're a nonprofit organization. We work with the inmates coming out of Georgetown Prison to find a place to live and a job. So I try to get more involved in the community. So what I do is, the question is your company, your business leaving money on the table? What I mean is there are places in your business that you are spending money, you are not saving money that you could have. And I'm not talking about having less employees. I'm not talking about cost reduction on what it costs to make a material. It's places that you should know where you're spending your money, but you may not. Because my typical client is somebody that's between 5 and 1,000 employees, not a public company. You may be the running that company. You're spending every day out there working on that company. So it's very hard to keep track of where you're spending your money. So that's what we do. So as my wow statement, as it says there, is it's your money. So the things that I talk to my clients about, it's their money that they're getting back, all right? It's their money that they deserve. So who are we? What we don't do is we do some tax work for people. We'll do things like accelerated depreciation on commercial buildings, R&D tax credits. There are entrepreneurs out there, people that are running their own business that are developing things that are not taking these credits that they're entitled to, right? And it could be significant if you're making money. So what we don't do is we're not an accounting firm. So we're not here to replace your accountant. We're not here to replace your CFO. What we're here to do is to point out areas that you could be saving money. We focus strictly on saving you money. So I tell people that are involved with me, only 2 things happen if you engage my company. Either we're going to find out that your company's running perfectly well and you're not wasting any money any place and that you're getting everything you're entitled to, or we find you money. Neither of them are a bad thing, right? So we're never asking you to write a check to us. My company's contingency-based. That means every service we do, if I don't save you money, I don't make any money. Right? So nobody's writing out checks for us ahead of time. In a lot of cases, you're never writing out a check. We take our reputation very seriously. We're talking about a company's finances. Right? Most companies hold that very close to the vest. So my reputation, our reputation, we hold that very seriously. Because one bad situation could ruin our company or ruin an area. And I don't have a geographic territory, by the way. We do this any place in the country. I have clients in Philadelphia. I have clients in Maryland. I'm talking to some companies. Actually, I'm doing a chain of restaurants out in California. So just let anybody know it's not a geographic territory. So, but the point is that we do take this very seriously. Just to step back to one of the things, when I started this business just about a year ago, it was a no-brainer. I'm not charging you any money. If I don't find you savings, I don't get any money. And people were saying no. And I'm going, no. You know, I mean, what's the risk here? And the response would be, it's not for us. I don't want my CPA to get upset. I don't want the government to come after me. But what it came down to, and you had mentioned that Sussex County, I actually did that, and I actually do have some SCORE coaches as well. I'm a big believer in coaching. I'm a big believer in people that have come before me that have already figured it out, right? Giving me, some feedback. So one of the feedbacks I got was, well, if people don't know you, they're not going to trust you. So for that, I've joined a lot of associations, a lot of organizations to try to get that in there. And doing this was one of the other things that I do. Our strategic partnerships are exceptional. I am not a CPA. I don't do the tax work. I don't do the workman's compensation reviews that we do for clients. What I do is I have a team of folks around the country that do it, and they are the best at what they do. They've been doing it for 25 years. They have names like American Express, Marriott, that they do work for, and for me, that's a big deal. So, if you're wanting to see who's going to be looking at your taxes, or who's going to be looking at your workman's comp reviews, or who's going to be looking at your payroll, these people have been around a while. They're impeccable. Goes back to my reputation. So what we do is, first thing we do is do an assessment. We'll come out, sit down and talk to you. I have 2 programs that actually sit down, ask you a few questions, find out about your company, and then what we'll do is we'll come back and see what areas you could be saving in. Some of the areas are freight invoice, if you're doing a lot of freight carrying. Credit card. I have clients that are B2B clients that do $23, $30 million a year in credit card processing. That's a lot of money in fees. So we do some analysis on that as well. Bank clients. So if you're spending a lot of money with your bank, God bless, everybody loves their bank, even though we're not getting any interest from them. What we do is we actually can do and analyze your fees that you're getting. And in some cases, larger enough companies, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it's not always like $5,000, sometimes it's $50,000. Results of workman's compensation reviews. That's big for us. Clients that are roofers or construction companies or manufacturers that are paying, I have clients that are paying $800,000 a year in workman's compensation. And I don't know if anybody's ever done that or ever had that in their business. But I got to tell you, it's a scary thing because at the end of the year, you're always looking like you're going to be spending more money. So what we do is we go back and we look at those. We go back 7 years and find out where you've overpaid. And we actually can recover that money. That's a check in your hand. Then we create a report. I just saw it up. I got a little time left. And then we do any optimization. So not only will we save you money, but we'll go back and show you where you should continue to be saving money because you're not running your business the way you should. As I said, I'm kind of slipping through now because I talked a lot longer than I thought I would. Merchant services, I mentioned that. That's our credit card services. So this is how I'm going to end. So you folks, I'm here to get some feedback around what we're coming in. I spelled companies wrong. So what I need is, see, if I had somebody watching my business, they would tell me that I typed that in wrong. But these are good clients for us. Companies that own their own business. Companies that have commercial property. Or if they don't own a commercial property, I have chains of restaurants that don't own the business, but they do a build-out. So we can get them 5-year back on their money that they spent instead of 39 years. Workman's comp, any $50,000. Companies that spend over $2 million a year in credit card processing, shipping, telephone, manufacturers. And also, last one is class action suits. Everybody's familiar with class action suits, probably because you get them in the mail. But we have an organization, we keep track of that for companies. In a lot of cases, we're getting people back $50,000, $100,000 of their own money. So it's a Q&A time, and bottom line, my wow statement is it's your money. That's quick 6 months.
Thank you. It does go by very quickly. And the floor is open for question, answers, and comments. Sorry. He has to adjust it.
I love this. I was a financial analyst for years, so that's what I did. Are your fees based on a percentage of what you find
Correct.
And the client? Okay.
Exactly.
Is there
So-
a flat rate and then a percentage over that, or?
It depends. It's typically not a flat rate. Typically, it's based on what we recover. IRS codes on certain things like cost segregation, accelerated depreciation, you cannot do that. So there is a fixed cost based on that, but it's like a sliding scale based on.
How do you predict or estimate, okay, we talk about break-even points all the time. How do you determine, like say for your fiscal year, what you hope to make? You know, what if you have all these businesses and you're not able to find the money? How are you making money?
That's a good question. I've been in sales for 30 years, and it's about.
That's what I was going to ask you, what your background was.
So
in
to answer the
sales.
second question first, I started out in IT. Found out there was a whole lot more money in selling it and I was in the, so I worked for a public company for 25 years selling software to Fortune 100 companies. What had happened is I found out one day that I hated it. My wife came into my office one day and I was crying and I said, listen, I can't do this anymore. I just don't. And I had 2 kids in college and a house in Bethany and we ended up, I'm from Bucks County, Pennsylvania. We ended up selling everything when my last one after college moved in here. So my expenses are less, first of all, on that. But that's a good point. So the point is that I don't know in some cases. There are certain things that we can actually take a pretty quick look at. Accelerated depreciation is something that within 5 minutes I could see, by looking at your depreciation schedule. So there are certain things we can. Workman's comp reviews, we can take an educated look. I actually have an application that I put things in, and it gives me trends. Like, I'm kind of saying, like, it's getting technical, but in workman's comp, there's mod ratings. And if you're at over 1, then it's a good chance we're going to probably find your money. If it's under 1, we probably won't do it. The other thing for that, and last to answer the question, is that what we'll do is, that's why I have thresholds. I won't do a review for somebody that we're going to get them $1,000 and we're going to end up to $250. Because I hit and miss, I have to go for a certain level of client.
Right. And one more question. You have specialists that help you with this?
100%. I
So
am.
how do
I'm
you-
just a pretty face.
So how do you work out, what kind of a contract or whatever do you have with these?
I have
How
a-
do they get paid?
They get paid just the same way I get paid.
So that everyone is working on a contingency basis?
Correct. And again, that's why we have thresholds. But, we all get paid.
Right, okay, thank you.
My car payment makes sure I get paid.
Well, I'd like to follow up on that.
Sure.
How are you structured with these specialists that basically do the auditing across the United States? How are you structured, meaning you've got the specialists, but are they all, they're not independent contractors for them?
No, I'm actually, I'm trying to think of what a similar business would be, that has the same structure. So I have contracts.
You have contracts with the specialists,
Yes,
correct?
Yes.
And they must have they don't expect a flat fee,
No.
so you expect them, and they expect themselves, to obviously, to find their annual numbers, whatever they may be.
Yeah, so I hear what you're saying, and actually it's the thing that attracted me the most to this business, is that, we're all in the same boat, right? Because I came from a technical world where I relied on technical people to make sure that I had something done. But they didn't have any skin in the game except that they wanted to keep getting a salary, right?
Yeah.
The people I work with, if we aren't successful, we all are not successful. So I like that.
I like that. I like that setup also. The other question I have, apparently don't get on the operations side, per se, of a business.
Operations like,
Operations, let's say, fundamental cost savings can be found in inventories.
no. That's not our area of expertise. No. The answer is no. You know, I'm not going to get into, I mean, I actually have connections. I could probably do that. Like I have some connections with people that used to work at UPS to do, you know, shipping and things. But we have folks that specialize in shipping audits, right? So their job is not how you build it, but how you could cut your costs in shipping it.
Right, I understand.
Yeah, I know you did, but.
One of the things that I did as a business consultant was loan analysis. And it was amazing how many times, especially when amounts were paid on principal, but how many times that things were not recorded properly and being able to save clients money that way. I would think on a larger scale where you're talking about, you know, large capital loans of $1 million or more, there might be some opportunities there. Do you do any kind of loan analysis and search for some of this money?
Not loan analysis, but we do bank fee analysis. So we'll do that, you know, with a large client.
Okay. Other questions? Here we go.
You may have said this and I missed it, but what percentage of what you save do you take? It ought to be high, if you care to say. Maybe it's proprietary.
No, it's a sliding scale depending on what the service is.
Well,
Right?
it was,
So we get, the more work, like the workman's compensation, we would probably get one of the highest because that's a very labor-intensive thing, where something like cost segregation, which really isn't that labor-intensive to do, you know, we probably we don't take as much. Also, the higher the return, the less we take.
it would seem to me that if you can, out of the clear blue, put $1 in my hand that I didn't have and would not have had, I ought to be willing to pay you a considerable part of that and have the remainder left over. Don't sell your services too cheap, is what I'm saying. I think it speaks more to your value if you get more for doing it.
We're not cheap.
Oh, well, you
mean, it's fair, though,
you didn't make the number known, so I couldn't measure
Well,
that.
I mean, but it's a sliding scale, but it's not, I have very rarely have
50%
anybody really complain, because here's the thing. So I'm coming to you with a check that you had no idea that you were getting.
I agree.
Or deserved it.
I'm saying so.
You know, and everybody goes, if I said 50%,
50,
it could be
that's the number, it's the
50%.
number I had in mind. You ought to get at least half of it.
So I tell you what, it's typically between 30 and 50%. So it's bigger than a bread box, but not as big as a house. I mean, it's just, you know.
Gotcha.
If you hire me, I'll tell you.
Sorry.
He said if you hire him, he'll tell you. I imagine with all the restaurants that we have in the resort area, I know that there's many restaurants that do that kind of volume. I know that personally. So
Yes, they
I
are.
don't know if you've had a chance to connect with many of them or not.
You know, again, I'm not a local, so sometimes it's difficult. And again, having found that I got more no's, especially in this area, actually all areas, Philadelphia, not particular this area, that my mentor as a coach at SCORE told me, you know, to get around. So like I'm a member of HMRA, which in Ocean City is the Hotel Motel Restaurant Association. You know, those people have been around for 200 years. So I'm trying to get them to see my face, get used to that I have a New York accent, you know, that I'm not a carpetbagger, you know, whatever, yeah.
I think that's a very good strategy.
Hi, my name is Ms. Thompson, better known as Mama T. How are you? I would like to know if you could back up to your last slide on who we are.
You want me to?
Would you please?
Well, you want to point out where I spelled it wrong?
Now, I have a couple questions.
Yes,
A
ma'am.
person like myself, entrepreneur, just beginning to get my feet dampened in the water. It seems like you have, the first one says you need to spend over $1 million in renovation. I'm out. As Donald Trump would say, I'm out. The next one says I have to be able to spend over $50,000 in workman comp. All that entire list rules out little people at the moment, like myself. Do you feel, and I have about 3 questions, do you feel as though you're overlooking us youngins?
It's a economic business decision. So, no, I'm not overlooking it, but from an economic standpoint, when you're running a business, you know, if I was selling widgets or chairs, that would be, yeah, the answer would be yes. But from my business, that's not. But on the other side is what I am doing is, which I want to mention, it gave me an opportunity, I do partner with people. So one of the things I try to do is create a win-win. So if I had a CPA firm, for example, that has clients and they don't do a particular kind of like cost segregation, it's a very specialized business, that I'm actually partnering with them so that we do a revenue sharing. So you can be a smaller person with contacts and still do business with me. You just won't be a client of mine. Does that make sense?
I see some shaking their heads. For me, no, because I might have some money that's within thousands or close to $1 million that I don't know about, that a
Really?
person with your expertise could find. So for me, it's no, because I wouldn't mind having a person like you to search to see if I have some money.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Go ahead,
Two
you-
more questions.
Wait a minute, because I think he wants to feed off me, and then she can give me the mic back.
Go ahead, Mr.
Okay. The second question is, based off of what Lynn was saying, your fee, would it be 50-60%? I mean, 50%? Would it be, I make 60% off of what you found and you keep 40% if I was a large client of yours? I think the people in the public area, like myself, if I was large as those people up there on the board,
Yep.
we need a set fee, and I'm just giving you some feedback because I don't know where I'm going if I don't know what my underlying cost or saving would be, even though I didn't know I had the money.
So if I hear you saying that it would be uncomfortable for you to agree to a contract not knowing what it's going to end up costing you, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah, say that again.
That you would be uncomfortable signing a contract not knowing what your fee that you pay would be. That makes perfect sense to
Exactly.
me, but I'm also agreeing to do the work not knowing if I'm going to get paid. So I understand what you're saying. And it's a business,
And if you get to that point, you have those kinds of discussions with people when you're developing this, correct? On an individual basis?
just and I understand
Give this to Mike.
the concern about the numbers, but I gotta tell you, nobody's complained to me about how much the revenue sharing if I wrote them a check for $100,000.
No, I don't think we're here to obviously necessarily have to find that answer out
Thank you.
for, as far as your presentation. If I were you, I would say, this is what a good client is for us. If you don't fit these parameters, you're not a good fit for us. You might as well go to your local CPA, cost accountant, et cetera, and try to obviously get your advice from them for the type of business that you're in. That's how I would approach what you do.
That's exactly right.
I'm more concerned about the fact that, this is a question. It's easier to sell your clients that fit these conditions than it is others.
I'm not sure the others are.
In other words, anybody that doesn't fit these benchmarks for you as a client, it's much easier for you to sell these clients on your services, because obviously the money is embedded in these line items that
Exactly.
are part and parcel of your
100%.
Good.
I'll give you a good example. So there's a company that sells all their business online, their web sales business. They did $12 million last year online credit card business. So I did a credit card review and I found them $14,000 in savings for the year that they would save the credit card savings. In that place, and I'll announce, it was a 50-50, it would have been a 50-50 split. So they would have got $7,500 a year. Their CFO said to me, you know something, it's not worth our time to negotiate a contract to go thing for $7,500. I look at it and go, well, give it to me. You know, I'll take it. And I do understand, and we're talking about numbers that not everybody can understand, but right, walk away from $7,500 may not be a company's worthwhile.
Well, another way of saying that is you're not putting internal auditors out of business. Isn't that correct?
Correct.
So therefore, if I work for one of these companies and you came in and found 7,500, 10,000, whatever the magic number is, you're not putting me out of business as an internal auditor for the company.
No, the gotcha that I do find on that, to answer you, on top of that, is that I find that sometimes the CFO or controller of a company may not be real excited about having me come in because they think that there's going to be a negative. So one of the ideas that somebody had just gave me is, to go into there and team up with them, let it be their idea. And that's still a sell, but that is a hurdle that I run into every day, which is kind of sad because at the end of the day, it's the owner's money.
I'd like to share in terms of when we are teaching entrepreneurship, one of the things that we stress is how important it is to identify your target market, and for a variety of reasons, in the example that you gave, economic reasons. So I think identifying your target market is a good thing. Tamara?
Thank you. I see that who is a good client for us, and I'm assuming that finding grants is not a good client because you're not going to get a percentage of that, or do you find grants for companies?
No, that's not a business that we would be in.
Okay, that's what I assumed. I just want to check. Thank you.
Not a bad idea.
Did we have it? Okay.
I'll take on, actually, the great thing is I'm pretty entrepreneurial. If I find a good idea, I'll run with it. It's my own business.
Hey, good morning. My name is John, and
Do credit card.
and I do appreciate your time today. And I really do enjoy the example that you gave with, the credit card fees of $14,000 that you found. And I think, maybe leading with an example like that will get the audience a little bit more kind of put at ease. It seems like a common theme today is, what are your fees, and how does it work? So I do appreciate you bringing that full circle. But in regards to the actual savings, if you can clarify, for example, that $14,000 that you saved, if you would have split it 50-50, is that a residual or is that a one-time check that they cash? How does that work?
Well, it depends what the service is. Actually, on credit cards, this is a 3-year contract.
Nice.
So we'll do that for 3 years. Thank you very much for, that's one of the services that we actually do as an ongoing basis. So we'll do, and I have, if anybody wants to see, I have a report, we'll actually give the client a report that shows exactly where the fees were spent, where they've been reduced, and how much they saved on a monthly basis. We also do that on, say, like cell phones, right? A company that's got 500 cell phones. What we'll do is we'll actually not only reduce their fees on an audit, but we'll actually manage it for them. And again, that all comes out of a percentage.
Okay.
Okay.
To the credit card, because you heard me
I heard
saying
you say
credit
credit
card,
card,
credit card. Okay, when you talk about money saved.
Yep.
Okay, are we talking about, I'm going to give you a check for this, or these are potential savings that you will reap the benefit of in the future?
It's a good
Because
point.
how do you get money back on credit card savings?
So you don't get it back. That's a very good point. So that's a,
This is a potential savings.
Exactly.
So you are putting out money, you're not actually, this is money you're going to get in the future, correct?
correct. So
So when you are putting out, say, we're going to save you whatever, you are taking money out of your pocket in this case. Because
Well-
these savings are not, they're not like going to be retroactive money in your pocket, it's future
Correct.
savings, okay?
Correct. So it is, there are certain things that aren't retroactive, just because, if the credit card company would be nice enough to do that for you, that would be great, but they're not going to
Right.
do that for you. So yes, so what we do is, we'll look at your business, and not only will we find out areas where, I'm doing a study right now for a nonprofit in the area that does, $10 million a year in charities, almost all of it by credit card. We found out that they actually weren't even being coded for a nonprofit. We're paying retail rates for there, right? So we actually, consulted on that. So I guess the point is, so it looks like, so on every dollar, if you spent 50% or make 50 cents, I'm making up a number because it's not real, but say 50%, and we got it down to 25%, we share in that 25% savings because we're showing you, and we're continually showing you, so that there's a client I'm working with that owns 12 hotels, and they're a really big client. They have Arthur Anderson or Accenture is their accounting firm, and PNC is their bank, and they do everything with PNC. And I said, well, how do you work with the credit card business? And they said, well, we go to them every year, and we yell at them, and they lower their fees. And then during the year, it sneaks back up. But, what we do is we're there to make sure it doesn't sneak back up. And, I mean, that's the reality of that business, question how that business works that way, but that's the reality of that business. So,
We're just about
Okay, so that 25%, I'm sorry, but we're bean counters.
that's okay. It's
That's-
money.
That 25%, that's your piece of the payback analysis.
ma'am.
Is it a time frame, like 3 years
3 years.
forward? Okay.
Right. And I'll just tell you also, making up that number, again, the larger the savings, the smaller that we get, because it makes sense, right? So if I'm 50% of 10,000 is a whole lot different than 50% of a million. And, exactly. I mean, I would love to get it, but
So I could feasibly go on losing money in my business, or I can hire you to find the savings.
Thank you.
And then I'll lose it for a little bit of it for a period of time in order to pay you, but that's okay because I'll have more in my pocket.
well, you can look at it that way. You can look at that so you're going to have more money in your business thanks to me helping you have more money in your business.
Exactly.
So you're not losing money. I don't like that word.
Okay. Point taken. There you go.
Got to put a wrapper around it because my wife is a clean freak. I think that it's going to get sticky and lint's going to get on it. You should have a wrap around it. And it's like 50th anniversary, things like that.
Well, I wish we had more time.
Thank you.
As we conclude, we have one more important question that we
Yes,
want to
ma'am.
ask you. How can we as a community help you?
That's perfect. So, again, it's a relationship business. So if there are people that are in the audience or people that that you can introduce me to so that it's a warm lead so I'm not going in there. So that would be great. And if that requires that you get to know me, my business card's there, I am very open to doing that. I spend a lot of time. I do a lot of volunteer work. I do a lot. I try to get I keep saying face, but it's not the best face in the world. But I get my face out as much as I possibly can.